All right, this is PraetorCrash00 and Drewsif82 wrapping up our segment talking about property rights or the lack thereof and finding ways to solve the problem if there is such a way. Though, apparently after this last conversation, I'm pretty depressed. I don't think there's going to be a solution. Anyway. Drewsif, you were on a roll, so I'll let you wrap your side.
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean...
yeah, starting up left off.
But The Sopranos. I mean, what are you going to do? You know, yeah. I mean, it's just no. I think you're onto something. I think you're right. I think that's a pretty common sense approach. I think you could knock out the income tax and property tax if you had a consumer-based tax or something like that, consumption-based tax, I should say. So I think that makes sense. But I think, again, you have to get to the deeper underlying issues, which is why we are spending so much as a nation, why we continue to fund the stuff that we fund. I mean, let's look at it. I mean, we're in God knows how many countries now, engaging in how many wars. I don't know. And that's just one thing. That's just one thing. Like the DoD budget, it's just one thing. I mean, we also have to grapple with the issues of entitlements. I think Rand Paul actually said it pretty well at the I don't know if it was at the GOP rally or whatever they had down there in Florida, but he said both sides have these sacred cows that they're not willing to sacrifice and deal with. And I think he's absolutely right. I think, the left needs to deal with entitlements, and I think the right needs to deal with a never-ending war. Even though I think that the left and the right actually aren't that different. But I think he was right. I think those are. I mean, if you look at it, the major expenditures in this country are entitlements and also perpetual war, which I don't think benefit any normal average citizen. I think it benefits a complex of special interest. Mm-hmm. But that's just what I think. I don't know. What do you think, Praetor?
Oh goodness. It's a shame that I really can't add much to that, but it's true at every level of government.
I mean, you have to get to the deeper issues.
It's enormous waste. It's essentially waste. It's what happens when you give people the power to spend other people's money, and you don't put any kind of restraint on it. Mm-hmm. They don't think so. The problem nowadays is that people in Congress. And I'm not talking about. We keep talking about the federal government. This is every level, mind you. People are elected that can spend the money, have the power to spend taxpayer money, any kind of tax revenue, what kind of tax it is. They can spend this, but they're only in office 2+ years, 6 years if you're in the Senate, of course, or whatever state you're from, whatever the term limit is. The effects you have reverberate for decades past that, and no one recognizes. No one wants to take responsibility and say, "I realize that this is a big bill. Perhaps we should stifle its time. We should say this is the limit on it, so that you can't go any further than that. So you can't essentially bill somebody or write a note to them for 20 years down the road, because that's essentially what Social Security did. It's a great program at the time, it's super solvent. Well, 50 years down the road, as health gets better, people live longer, it's bankrupting us. DOD's the same way. You have people declaring wars, establishing the War Powers Act, so we have wars all over the place, or peacekeeping operations, whatever you want to say. And
whatever nice euphemism you want to use.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And we're paying for these things, but no one has to worry about it because it's protected somehow. And it's not their money. They're not the ones paying for it. They're not getting a big pull out of their check every month saying, "Oh, this is going to the war effort." People would think a lot differently about that.
OPM, baby, other people's money.
Exactly, and that's the biggest problem. But I think when it comes down to it, first off, I think one of the biggest things is being able to own property is one of the biggest problems we have in this country. We don't have it anymore. Taxes, I think, in that case, should definitely go away. Go to a sales tax. And then to the bigger issue you discussed about overspending, spending other people's money, and just not caring about where that money goes or what it's for is a greater problem. And I just don't have a solution for that right now. My brain is not that big.
Well, let's transition into another topic that's similar. It's related. Let's transition into property rights, but really the inheritance tax and inheritance in general, the concept of that.
Let's do that in our next segment.